Okay, so today on the Rift's automated character sheet add-in stuff, I'm going to show you guys how to generate a coalition grunt. See, I've got my empty sheet here and my skills list, which is all empty. Well, with one button, I will generate an entirely new character. So this is actually something neat that everybody can do with their character. When you one of the features that comes with Excel is the developer tab, which you can enable, and I'll show how to do that in the comments below. And within that developer tab, you can record a macro. When you record that macro, it starts as soon as you push this button, recording each step you take so that it can repeat those steps in that specific order again at any time by assigning that macro to a button or to a program, whatever you want. So if I click this button, it calls a macro with all of these code steps, calls clear contents. Let me drag those down here so that it'll show up on the screen because I use two screens. It creates all this content and you don't have to do any of that. So you don't have to be a coder to use this. This is something anybody that's a Rift fan can do. Alright, so I'll go ahead and clear this off and get you a start on, let's say, the Techno Wizard. That's one of my favorite character classes. Okay, so it's all cleared out and I'm ready to start again. So I'm going to pre-select human because I don't want that to be part of this macro. Let me add a button so it rolls them stats up. Oh yeah, it needs an OCC first. Okay, so I will start recording this macro. So the key thing to recording the macros is, unfortunately, Excel doesn't know how to know which thing you selected here. So you will actually have to type in with the exact letters. Case sensitive doesn't really matter to get those matching what's in your list here. If you are using a data validation list and the OCC lists like I showed in my previous videos. Otherwise, you can just type whatever you want in there. Then you'll go through and make your random rolls to get this stuff, as per usual. You will select your combat skills, put them in here in the worksheet to get your initiative, attack, and bonus spells, as well as filling out this worksheet here. Then I recommend coming over to your skills list and let me pull up that character sheet. Techno Wizard. Okay, page 128. And the skills list. Okay, so this is how I recommend doing it because you have to type everything in and that gets to be tedious when you make mistakes on it. So I recommend, if you need to use the drop-down list to find the skill here, because the format that this sheet has this in doesn't match exactly the format in the Rift's Ultimate Edition. So you might try and type the name in right and it just wouldn't work. So we're going to have literacy in native language. I use this default because I can always come in and change it later. And then go through and fill out each of the skills. So this one would be language, native, American English, and then type the bonuses that you would have here. So in this case, it starts at a 98. I just throw a 10 in here because that makes it that. And literacy in native tongue gets +10. And once you've got all of these guys dropped down to whatever you want them to be, come back through, and with this one here, you can type what is in the box below it right here and hit enter. And that will save it in the macro in the way that the macro can understand. And go through and do that for all of your default skills that you have. Come over here, do that for all of your magic spells. So let's say it's Energy Bolt. And Cybernetics and Equipment. If you want, you can copy and paste your default equipment or type it in. Say you've got a Word document with the list and stuff. That's great. You can select your image and move it into here. And then once you are done, you will hit stop recording. And then come over to this One Touch one, which it doesn't start with one, but a sheet called One Touch, but you can just insert new worksheet and call it that, or call it whatever you like. And you will have a new worksheet. And then once you're done with that, and we didn't go through a full generation of a character because it does take us a little bit of time, but in the future, when you want to come back and do that, like select all of your strengths and that, instead of having to spend hours scrolling through all that stuff, it's just simple as clearing. There we go. And then coming back over to One Touch, and there you go. So now I can have Coalition Grunts, squad of 5 individual ones, ready to be fleshed out and filled out later in seconds, and it's great. Okay, so one final thing, when you're doing this clear character thing and finishing the macro, I recommend, because it also follows which window you're clicking to, I recommend clicking back to the main window and scrolling to the top before hitting stop macro or stop recording. That way, after everything, it will bring you back to the first page and not leave you at the last page where it made any changes. So that's that, and I hope it's helpful. Everybody have a great weekend and enjoy making your characters. And